to be talking about how to tell whether or not you are a type 3. If you consider yourself to be a competent, efficient problem solver, if you're the person that goes in and gets everything taken care of and solved while everybody else is still scratching their heads, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If this is your favorite sound, you might be an Enneagram type 3. All right, all jokes aside, if you kind of feel, I don't know, maybe a little high every time you achieve a goal, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If first impressions mean a lot to you, in other words, if it's very important to you to make a good first impression, and also if your first impression of another person is something that's very difficult to change, if you find that it's difficult for you to respect someone that doesn't try to come off and give a good first impression, you might be an Enneagram type 3. I want to say this one carefully because this one is hard to describe. If you think that dealing primarily with emotions or an emotional aspect to a problem gets in the way of solving it. In other words, if you're the sort of person that doesn't see the point in dwelling on something that has made you angry or has hurt you, if it's easy for you to brush those things off, and if you prefer to brush those things off and go on without giving it much attention, you might be an Enneagram type 3. Honesty time. If failing is your biggest fear, if it gives you a lot of anxiety, if you try to avoid it like the plague, it just eats away at you, that's like the thing, you can't stand it, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If you're really good at coming off as a very confident person, even though you may feel really insecure in the moment, if you're the sort of person that people say to you, I never would have thought that you were insecure about that. You always seem like you're so confident in yourself and you have all your shit together. I had no idea you felt that way. You might be an Enneagram type 3. If you find that it's always been easy for you to kind of intuitively understand what's socially expected in any given social situation, whether it's with family or with friends or strangers or work, etc., if you have found that you pick up on that really easily and you use that information to try to make a good first impression or try to be someone that is respectable and impressive to that group of people using what you intuitively understand about the social expectations in that context, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If you are competitive as fuck, if all someone has to do to get you to do something is say, I bet you can't do it, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If for you it's not good enough to be good enough, in other words, if you need to be excellent in your performance in everything that you do, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If you're a creative thinker, or if you're good at thinking on your feet and coming up with solutions on the fly, if you're not afraid to break the rules in order to achieve an end goal that you think is really important, if you're not afraid to cut a little corners here and there, if the outcome is more important than the process, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If, when you feel insecure, whether it's in the moment or perhaps you're going through a period of life where you're being challenged in such a way that you're questioning a part of yourself. If, when you are in those states, your natural tendency is to withdraw from relational contact. In other words, maybe you don't spend as much time with friends or family, or maybe you're not as socially engaged at work. In other words, if you try to draw less attention to yourself when you're feeling insecure, you might be an Enneagram type 3. If you work really hard on something and you want it to be impressive and you complete it, and in your opinion, it is something that stands out above the norm, and A, it's not acknowledged at all, B, it's acknowledged, but it's kind of like, yeah, that's good. In other words, if it seems like its value is being underestimated, if that is a really difficult thing for you to cope with, if you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If you're really adaptable, if you can switch from one thing to another, one task to another, one life situation, one career, if you can change things really, really quickly and adapt to them without having any sort of lag time, you just pick stuff up real quick and you're good to go as if you've always known how to do it, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If you're an ambitious person, if you're someone that's always had an idea of what you want your life to look like, and from a young age, for most people with a Type 3 personality, probably about high school age, you've pretty much got that idea worked out in your head, at least generally, if not specifically. And since then, you have just been living your life in such a way that you're constantly working towards building that idea that you have in your head of what you would like your life to look like. And if you're always looking for ways to improve upon that and to make it better, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If you're a workaholic, if taking time off or vacation time is just kind of like anxiety producing. If you're the sort of person that has a weekend off and you bring work home with you, or you have to get up and deep clean the house, or you've got a whole other list of to-do things and you prioritize that and just constantly working in some way or another. If that for you is how you relieve anxiety, if that's how you get energy, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If you've always been good at spotting hidden potential in other people, and perhaps if you thoroughly enjoy helping other people draw out that potential and become better at what they do, or perhaps just in personal growth, helping them become a better person. If that's something that comes naturally to you and you really thrive on that, if that's a way that you like to give back into the world, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If what you do for a living, if your career or career path or goals, perhaps your involvement in the world of academia, your education, if those sorts of things are very closely tied into your identity, in other words, who you see yourself as a person, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. If you like having nice things, and if you work really hard to make sure that you can have nice things, and to make sure that you can support what maybe the average person might consider to be a more luxurious lifestyle, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. Honesty time again. If you care about what people think of you, and 3s like to play it off and play it really cool, and they're very independent, and on the outside it doesn't seem like they care, but you know you really care about what people think about you. If it's important that people view you in a good light, or that they see you the way that you want them to see you, if that is something that's very important to you, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. Sorry. Honesty time again. If the way that you look is a point of insecurity for you, and if you are hyper aware of how you look in comparison to other people in the room, and if you feel insecure, if there is someone else in the room who is perhaps better well-dressed, or if there is someone else in the room who you believe is more sexually attractive than you, physically attractive, or even if you just think that other people think that, if that is a problem for you, if that's one of those things that eats away at you, if it's really anxiety producing for you, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. And lastly, if you watched this video and you saw like 10,000 different ways that I could have made it better, why didn't she wear makeup? The lighting is terrible. It's very clear that she did not take the time to create a product that she could be proud of. She's putting her name on this, but she could have done so much better. If it just blows your mind that I would put a video online that is less than professional quality or whatever, you might be an Enneagram Type 3. So, as with the other two Enneagram types that we've done, Type 1 and Type 2, these are just a few things that you can look for if you think that you might be an Enneagram Type 3. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is definitely a great place to start.